Hello, everybody, and welcome to my very first podcast episode with my friend Gojifan1998, and we're and our podcast is about talking about all the classic Godzilla films from 1954 to through all the years that they've been made from Toho and other films from the U.S. So today we're going to be talking about the original 1954 Gojira, also known in the U.S. Godzilla King of the Monsters. Yeah. So you ready for this, bro?
I am ready, Kaiju brother.
All right. So so tell me, Neil, what is I mean, since like when do you start watching the original one for the first time?
Well, it all just started right after I followed I became a Godzilla fan from my late grandmother.
Oh, that's nice. I remember I remember watching that when I first got the classic media deep earlier version of the DVD release from classic media when I got it on my birthday when I think I was 6 or 7 years old. I think yeah, that was my very first Godzilla collection. This was right after I watched uh, 5 or 6 Godzilla films, and I think this was my sixth one. I, I was, and I, as far as I can remember, like it was, it's all black and white, and it was, it's just Godzilla in it. Is this the very first Godzilla film? And so it is. It's like the original. Yeah, and also I had the guy right here.
And I got mine too.
The SH Monster Arts.
Nope, NECA.
Oh, NECA. I mean, it's hard to tell of it. It's like yeah, it's like yeah, well, yeah, well, mine is the Memorial Box Bandai version, and so so you're ready to review this classic film? You ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Oh yeah, like I mean, before we review this movie, let's start with the very beginning, like before the film was made. Like the creator of Godzilla, how did he come up with the idea? Like which name I forgot it is.
Oh, you got me here because I know all the history about it.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to say Japanese names because it's hard to say.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah,
But I
well,
learned how did I came up with this idea for Godzilla.
oh yeah, I
Well, I learned it from Wikizilla's information and trivia from many history.
oh yeah.
It all began right after In the Shadow of Glory, an Indonesian and Japanese co-production film, did not happen because of its due to the Indonesian government denying a film budget.
Oh, like
I well, and after this project never happened, Tomoyuki Tanaka had to fly back home from Indonesia back to Japan.
yeah, and that was like during the time of World War II.
Right after the war was ended.
Yeah, and I and I think I remember what didn't he like someone come up with the idea where Godzilla like where he was on a cruise or a boat or something like
Well, I'll tell you, he was when Tanaka was on his way back home. He looked out on his window of the airplane and he dreamed up a giant monster will come out to rise to attack Tokyo.
Yeah, and then the studio and the original idea he come up with is like they said that Godzilla was supposed to be a sea monster.
Oh yeah, from Eiji Tsurubaya's original idea from 1951 about a giant mutant octopus.
Yeah, and
But Tanaka thought he wanted to make it a giant monster film for the first time, and he knew he would count on the wizard Eiji Tsurubaya to working on the idea.
yeah, that's I think that's what I learned about in one of the classic media like new DVD releases.
Yeah,
Yeah, like and yeah, so you ready to review the film?
yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, so the so Godzilla was released in 1954 when that was like that was on November 3rd, and it was released in Japan. It I don't remember it was released so many tickets in Japan. It was because the film it became a huge hit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember the Japanese the audience they and they, like they were like terrified of the giant monster for the rampage scene. Like didn't they like
well, it all depends on what they saw right in front of their face for the first time on the movie screen.
yeah, and I believe like and the Godzilla suit actor who passed away a few years ago that he was when he wore the Godzilla suit for the first time and when he does it like it makes the suit so heavy that he doesn't move fast and he and it's so hot and sweaty inside that the actor actually passed out.
Yeah, and as said about this, the inside of the suit is way over 135 degrees Fahrenheit.
He is. That's almost like the that's almost like if you're going in the beach that was on a very hot day.
Looks like it.
Yeah, and
And there were fun fact about it. There were two of that first Godzilla suit was made it.
two. Oh, there's two of them. Like you said, there are two of them. You said.
Yeah, there's two of a suit was made it during the production.
Hey, I did not know that.
Well, the first one was only be used as a cut in half for a close-up shots between Godzilla's foot, and the other one was upper half.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. One of the images for this behind the scenes that yeah they
And
is
there was also a hand puppet pretend it was Godzilla getting a closer, have the audience
oh
get a
yeah
closer
the
look at
puppet
Godzilla.
thing when he bites the tower and then when he
Yeah,
tries to bite the clock tower and for the mountain scene when he first appeared and reveals himself.
yeah. To get the audience had their first close look at Godzilla for the first time.
Yeah,
And
it's,
there was also a deleted scene from the film that has been cut off.
oh yeah, like the scene where that Godzilla was eating a cow.
Yeah, and it was a good reason. According to AG right, it has a good reason because it's just not very called for.
Yeah, I think they said they thought it was too uh, violent or uh, too freaked out. I mean, I think that's
Well, I think it must be depends on whatever the staff are thinking. Like, I don't think we can't use that. It might be too violence or so.
yeah. I mean, it's yeah. But but I wish they would make that scene and just show it in one of the special features. But somehow those footage have been lost for years. I think that's what they say.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I wish we get to see that scene. It was
yeah. I wish that too.
yeah, like I also remember the one scene Dr. Sircella, who was the scientist who created the oxygen destroyer. Like I remember when I was little, when I saw the scene for the first time when he was testing for for the oxygen destroyer, but for the fish tank scene, where that turned the fish into skeletons, and that is, that actually scared the heck out of me. Like when I was a kid, when I first saw it.
Yeah, I'll never forget that part either. It really scared me too.
Yeah, and also the thing that the fish in there. I mean, when they turn the bones, I mean, their bones, it doesn't seem to match for the fish size. I mean, the fish are flat, but their bones almost like they're sticking out. I mean, they're like wide, and then
Hmm.
I bet you don't know this, but if
I
you
did
look,
not know that until I heard about what you said it.
yeah, if you look, if you rewatch that scene, you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I might take a look at that and closer look.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I noticed. I mean, and I remember after the film was released in Japan and in theaters, and in the following, I think it was 2 years later, they released it in the U.S. and they retitled it Godzilla King of the Monsters in 1956.
Yeah,
And
released on April of 1956.
April, you said April 6th, or
I said April 1956. I don't know what date it was on it.
we got to look back on that date. Because I don't remember when the U.S. version was released.
Yeah, we might have to look closer to it.
And because that one I grew up watching when I earned the the earlier classic Mania DVD version. I mean, and also when they released that in theaters for the opening scene, they of course they open it with the Toho logo, but then they have another production logo opening to it after that when you hear Godzilla's footsteps. I mean, it. I mean, it just shows like the planet Earth with the letters, like kind of reminds me a little bit like Universal looking. It's called a translation picture. I think that's what it says.
I might get a closer look at that logo too.
Yeah, but if you don't, but I when I watched that, I just noticed something of that. I mean, it has it's just had the planet Earth covering the Toho letter uh, logo, but yeah, but and it has the black fade covering the letters on the bottom, and it just shows the planet Earth with the letters of Translation Studios. I don't remember what that name was. But I just noticed if you look back to that opening in the U.S. cut,
Yeah,
and it also has a slight different opening. Instead of had the credits going up with the Godzilla title logo, and it just shows the ocean as and then it shows the Godzilla King of the Monster title to it.
yeah.
Yeah, and also that movie has casted Raymond Burr as Steve Martin, and yeah, like I think this movie's made like I think was it before the actor Steve Martin was born, or
I don't know.
Hmm. I think it was before Steve Martin was became famous. I mean, yeah, and we all know that Perry Mason himself, Raymond Burr, was in it, but I think that's what said he was like his character was in Japan, and but I think when they do this shot in the studio in the U.S. and I think this I think they just filmed it in a building in Los Angeles when Raymond Burr is in a room and they just casted some Jap- Japanese actors and but they hide their faces. So what the real celebrities from the original Japanese uncut version.
Hmm. I think you were doubly correct. It all depends on what they're doing.
Yeah, because you know this the scene and when Raymond Burr was in Steve Martin was in the hospital at the class what happened last night and is what Emiko is came in to see him. It's just they only show her behind and they didn't show her face when she was talking to Martin
Yeah,
because you know that's not the actual actress from the Japanese uncuts.
yeah,
Yeah, and also there's another scene when Martin was on the phone with Dr. Sircella, then it just shows in like but there's some of his science stuff, like his laboratory stuff, like that's covering his face when he was behind behind the objects, but he's all covered his face because it's not the actual actor.
yeah. I figured it was since I would study closer later.
Yeah, I mean,
It was kind of like it had a disguise.
yeah, it kind of does. And, uh, and also, Uh, I wish they do an actual English dub for the uncut version of the actual Japanese film. But I wish they redo the dubbing and they just but there's no English dub audio for the actual uncut version.
Yeah,
I mean, I wish they would, but they allowed the US cut version.
yeah,
Yeah, like also you uh, when they when Godzilla was stomping around in the city when his tail was crashing into a building, they used a stop motion tail for it.
you got a good fact.
Yeah, and others when the car tips over and then crash. I mean, they actually use stop motion cars.
And yet, before Godzilla was actually portraying a guy in a suit, AG Suvari wanted a favor that Godzilla was going to be operating in stop motion like King Kong did. But due to have a lot of money, they didn't have much time, so they decided to create a guy in a suit instead.
Yeah, and I gotta say it looks really better in a suit than stop motion because we know that King Kong is like one of the very first giant movie monsters, but it's in stop motion.
Yeah, and it was part for AG Suvari's wishes that he wanted to make a giant monster film ever since he saw the original King Kong.
Yeah, and and, and also when and also uh, when the people on the island is like it's like before the storm, when the two islanders that discovered they discovered one of the survivors uh, from the shipwreck caused by Godzilla. And when I saw this as a kid, when the when the when the when the islanders helped one of the survivors, I mean, with trying to get him to wake up, looks like they're it kind of looks like they're kind of slapping him in the face. I was like, jeez.
That's what I thought about that too.
Yeah, and in the U.S. version, I just grew up watching. And I was like, and then and way back then, I don't know much Japanese language, and when I was a kid watching it in the U.S., and the Japanese people are speaking Japanese, sometimes I have no idea what they are saying, and until years later when I owned the Criterion earlier Blu-ray release version, I watched the original Japanese uncut and with English subtitles. That way, I understand what they're saying. They're saying that there's a raft coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me this: like, what is your favorite scene in the original?
Oh, gets me my jam.
Oh yeah, tell me what it is, bro.
Well, my favorite part in the original version of the first Godzilla was when Godzilla first come to attack Tokyo in Shinagawa.
Oh yeah, and I also yeah like the scene when Godzilla was come approach the power lines, and when he stops right there, he just looks around like that. It's like he's getting smart.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he just walked through it, and then the pollen just electrics, and Godzilla just keeps continue going through. It's like he doesn't even care. Like electricity doesn't hurt him.
only briefly stopping for a little while till he keeps coming.
Yeah, and also for I gotta say yeah for the yeah the the fire breathe for the fire breath of him, like, and they actually added like another. They actually add two footages to make the special effects uh, for the heat ray breath, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's his atomic breath. I mean, like, I mean, and there's like, and for the close up for the puppet scene when he was breathing, when he breathes his atomic breath for the puppet scene, it's almost like there's actually, it looks like there's the smoke coming out of his mouth.
hmm.
Does it kind of look like it? There's just smoke coming out of his breath.
Well, it
I mean,
kind of looks like a Faber's gas smoke comes up.
yeah, like it, it kind of does. I mean, and also like when for the zoom out thing when he was it was for the Sioux when he was stomping around houses. I mean, and he started breathe his fire breath. I mean, that actually looked like a footage they added. It's like, when it used a special effects and they filmed it, and they just it just trim it, and just they cut out the fire breath and just add that to it.
Yeah,
And I also love uh, for the when the Tokyo was on fire for the background, and they showed that there's little puppets in the background. That's like a awesome scene. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, especially when he's going through the Capitol building. It it's is like that's like a one of the famous scenes in the film.
Yeah,
And it's, yeah, like and the and there was this one scene. There's one scene that was my least favorite is the children singing part. Uh, So it's the end after Tokyo was destroyed.
oh yeah, the prayer of peace.
Yeah, it kind it kind of bores me a little. Like, it's kind of boring for me,
Yeah, I know that feels.
and also the one scene I was like, yeah, shocking. I was just couldn't stop watching the scene. It was like when the scene when Emiko revealed Dr. Sircella's invention to Arataka's character
Ogata.
Ogata, uh, and when he after he left those two and he went back to his lab and they just follow him. And Ogata like he just wants to get his invention. And it's like it says like we must use it. That scene that they're fighting over Dr. Sarasawa's own invention, and like Emiko
Yeah,
is trying to stop them. And it's like, but they moved the camera to the fish tanks, and with this, like it's like an off screen, like
yeah,
they, and you hear them, they they just it sounds like they just pushed her, and it's just going through like a little violent scene. I was
hmm,
yeah, it's like Hogata really wants use it against God. He wants to kill Godzilla for good, so the nightmare be over. Like, but Dr. Sarasawa like doesn't want to do it because it thought his invention was too dangerous. So
well, that because he's worried that if politicians know the existence of the ocean destroyer, it will be worse than nuclear weapon.
yeah, and it will turn Tokyo into a graveyard. The,
Yeah, even he was worried, but the whole world will be turned to a whole entire graveyard.
yeah, and he finally made his decision that he decided he wants to use it, and then against Godzilla, and they found him in the middle, in the bottom of the ocean, and then as scuba divers. I mean, I like the one when they're like. I also like the part when they found him in the water and they all backed up, and I was like, it's like they're too afraid to use it on him because
Well, probably because he was getting way a little bit too close.
yeah. And then when he finally used it, and when he finally used it, it's all bubbly, and then and also so when Godzilla is like moving around moving underwater when the Ocean Destroyer was released. To me, it kind of looks like he's enjoying the bubbles, like ooh, bubble, bubbly, bubbly. Yeah, like, and then like, and Dr. Sirisawa like, gave his life away, like, eh, for the power that he released.
Well, he has to make sure that the secret of the ocean destroyer will die with him after he burned his note. Even after he did, there's still secret in his head, according to him.
Yeah, because people don't want to know his invention and his secret because it was way too dangerous.
Yeah,
And also when Godzilla rises in wars, and it was like, and I was amazed by that scene. I was like, and then he goes back on the water, and then just, he just, when he finally crashes, he just turned into bone. It's like, yeah, and somehow and the head for the skeleton in it kind of reminds me of like the little bit like the puppet version of it for super close ups.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then suddenly the bones just vanish and disappears. It's
yeah,
it's so weird. I mean, it's like how did the people want to know how did the bones vanish? I mean, to me, is the bones have been used in some Godzilla films, like Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. Like, but we'll get to that another
yeah,
time.
yeah. Well, from the original, that oxygen destroyer can only dissolve and destroy anything when it get contact.
Yeah, but what I liked about Godzilla is his war, like his classic war, and I mean, people have made special sound effects from different animals, like the animals from Jurassic Park and for the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs sound effects were used by different animals. Sometimes they kind of have a mix up sound effects with them. But Godzilla War, I mean, it doesn't sound like. I mean, we could not tell like what it sound effect from an ant that came from an animal. Like I don't because they said it was a sound like a leather glove or right to like a violin instrument.
Actually, it was Akira Ifukube using well, he used that leather glove and he rubbed it on the contrabass's string.
Yeah, I mean, if I own that kind of instrument and buy a leather glove, I want to do a test of it to see if it's the actual Godzilla war. We gotta test that or make a video of it someday.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. When I heard about it, I at first I did not believe of that, but now I heard, but now I think maybe they're right. Maybe it did came from that. And of course, Godzilla's different sound effects from each film. It sounds different, and like from the Shona and Heisei and Millennium. Sometimes they edit the the Warren effects, and they just made it like an HD or HD clear, and really added some usual effects for it.
Yeah.
Hmm. So 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 when you watch it the first time, like how did you react to the film? I mean, what you think of it after you watched it for the first time?
Well, after I first saw the first time seeing the Raymond Burr one, and I was realized like, wow, this is just like going to the beginning.
I mean, that's what I thought too when I first saw it as a kid. When I grew up the Raymond Burr version, and like I mean, I thought that was like an actual Godzilla film that was made, but and I just realized when when Classic Mania re-released the new DVD versions, I mean, they 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 released the original Japanese cut for the first time in North America, and I think it was in 2006 they released it.
I think so.
Yeah, but for the first time I saw the Japanese cut was when I owned the earlier Criterion Blu-ray release version in 2011. And I watched the original uncut version. And I thought I thought this is even better than the U.S. version.
That's what I thought about that too.
Yeah, because it's the one that started it all,
Yep,
and and that's how the Godzilla franchise begins.
yep. That's where it all started it all with the original Gojira.
Yeah, like well, it's been like 35 minutes live. I mean, is there any thoughts you have on the original Goji movie?
Well, my thoughts of the original one is it is total the best film ever made.
Yeah, me too. You know, I watched it for some time now. I mean, because it is Godzilla, and I watched it like just for a few times, but I watched the other films a lot more because it has more monster battles and better. And that's how the Godzilla the franchise and the merchandise that are are getting started.
Yeah.
But it is one of the greatest monster films of all time, and I give and I give this movie a 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yep,
And
because
I
it's
I gave this one as 10 out of 10 as well.
yep. Well, we're about to wrap things up, and the the next episode, we're gonna do a podcast of Godzilla Raise Again.
Or also known as Gigantus the Fire Monster.
Yep, for the U.S. version. I wonder why they call him Gigantus.
Well, we're gonna have to get some research before we do it in the next episode.
Yep. Uh, See you guys next time.
And I want to share a little bit fun trivia for the cast.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So we're what?
Well, before Akira Takarada was playing as Ogata, Akihiko Harada was originally going to play that character.
Oh, I did not know that.
But Toho chose Takarada would be perfect for the role as Ogata because he was younger.
Yeah, I guess he's the best actor, and I miss him so much. It's so sad that he died.
Yeah, he was a really good man, but he will always be remembered by all the film he was in.
Yep, and I'm glad we do this podcast. It's just for the memory of him.
Yeah,
Yep. Well, we're about to wrap things up, and next up we'll do Godzilla Raise Again, aka Gigantus the Fire Monster. See you all in the next video.
and stay beachy fans as always.